Today's episode is a little different because you're going to hear an interview that was conducted on myself. So I was actually on the Raw Life podcast, and pretty much what that one is instead of asking more basic questions, there's a lot of deeper questions. So if you care about me at all, or you want to know a little bit more about some of the darker times in my life, listen to this podcast, or you're going to learn a little bit more about me. A few things before we start, though, a couple housekeeping things. First things first, I have a YouTube channel with Across the Pond stuff. There's no video, it's all just audio. So if for whatever reason you want to listen to that on YouTube instead of Spotify or any of the other platforms that we're on, go ahead and please subscribe to that, like it, so then we can reach more people. If you're thinking, hey, Dan, I really want to help the podcast, how can I do it? That's probably one of the best ways you can do it right now. Second thing, going to be starting a Patreon. Now, this isn't some sort of ploy to try and get more money. No, that's not what I'm going after. I'm not doing this to try and make money, in some weird scummy way. No, I'm doing that so then it can show kind of just as like a thing. I do spend a lot of time on this, and so it would be nice to make, a little bit of something. While this is a passion project and I'm not necessarily looking for anything, I won't also say no to a couple dollars, if that makes sense. There are some incentives. There's 3 different tiers in this Patreon. First thing is $5, and it's just, hey, thank you so much. You're helping this continue to keep going forward. You're helping me, pretty much pay the electric bill that I'll have to pay to make these episodes. That's pretty much what that is. There's a second tier, which is $10. What you're going to be able to do is you're going to be able to send me a question that I can ask up to 3 guests. Or I will be asking 3 guests. Let's just say I'm talking to Joe next, and you really want to know from random people what their favorite make of car is. So towards the end of the episode, be like, hey, Joe, thanks to our Patreon supporter, blah, blah, blah. They want to know what's your favorite make of car. That's pretty much how it's going to go, and I'll ask up to 3 people. Or I will ask 3 people. I don't know why I keep saying up to, but I will ask 3 different guests. So you'll hear your question 3 separate episodes. And let's just say there's 100 people that want to ask a question. Man, that's going to be interesting. We'll cross that boat when it comes. And then the last tier is $20, and that's, dude, you get my sincerest gratitude. You'll be able to ask 2 to 3 questions, or I guess I should say 1 to 3 in case if you can't think of 2 or 3 and you just want to ask 1, you can ask up to 3 different questions to 3 different guests. So that would be pretty much the same thing as what I just explained with the $10 tier, but you're going to be able to ask up to 2 more questions. You will also be getting a calendar of all the people that I will be talking to, just the first name, no last names or anything, because there are some people who give me their last names, and the country that they're from, not the city. So you'll kind of have an idea of who I'll be speaking to from around the world. Just a cool little thing in case if you're like, oh, I really want to listen to this one. This sounds kind of cool because I'm going to be speaking to, Yuri from Russia. That would be cool. One of these days, I hope to speak to someone from Russia. So if you know someone from Russia, please send them my email. I would love to talk with them. And as well as the $20 a month tier 3 Patreon, you'll also get your name read. It will be a special thanks. Like at the very beginning, you'll say, hey, thank you so much to our top tier Patreon supporters, Bob or whatever, whatever name you want to go by, and that will be immortalized, if you will, in each episode. Well, at least for that month, if that makes sense. Anyway, if you want to, please feel free to go to Patreon. It'll be down in the notes, and if you want to, you can. If you don't want to, that's totally fine. It's not like I'm looking for you to do this. You don't have to do it. It's just kind of something that would be like, oh, I would appreciate the support. Also, be sure to go to YouTube, youtube.com/acrossthepond. You'll see the little lily pad logo that I have. Go ahead, share that with your friends. Anyway, I hope you can enjoy I don't want to say conversation that I had with myself, but conversation that I had with Paul on the Raw Life podcast, all about me, the goods and the bads of my life.
Hello.
Hey, Paul. How you doing?
I'm all good, man. How's things?
Things are good.
Good. What do you want me to call you, by the way? Do you want me to just call you Kings, or?
You can call me Dan. That's fine. Or Daniel, whatever's easier.
I'll just call you Dan. It's easier, man. So,
Yeah.
I'll give you a quick heads up of what happens if you like.
Okay.
So, I'll just introduce myself, and I'll introduce the show, and I'll just say I'm here with my guest, Dan, and then feel free to introduce yourself. It's like I've said to everyone else on the show, if there's anything that you want cutting out, if there's anything that you just don't want to answer, you can just say, "Can we skip that question?" or "Can you cut that out?" and I'll make sure all the cuts are in.
Okay.
Right. Is that all going to be it?
Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah.
Cool. I'll get started then.
Okay.
So, hello and welcome. I was going to say hello and welcome to Paul.
Hello, welcome to Paul. That's a good one.
So my name is Paul and welcome to the 24th episode of the Raw Life Podcast, the podcast where I talk to strangers about their life experiences. The podcasts are now on YouTube, so please check them out. Leave me any feedback, comment, or message me if you want to come on the show. Today I'm with my guest called Dan.
Called Dan or named Dan? That's good one. Hi there, I'm Dan. It's nice to meet you.
It's nice to meet you too, man. It's nice to meet you. So, how old are you, Dan?
I'm 26.
Cool, nice. And where are you from?
I am from the Seattle area.
Oh, Seattle.
Yeah.
What's Seattle like?
Crazy, bunch of liberals. Now there's just
damn.
yeah. So it's really nice right now. It's actually sunny, and I don't know what it is in Celsius, but it's right around 40-ish degrees Fahrenheit, which is, I don't know, pretty cold in Celsius, but it's nice. There's just a lot of crazy, riots and stuff going on. That's why I say a bunch of liberals, just because there's so many crazy people that are just, being weird. We had riots and stuff when the whole Black Lives Matter movement started, where people would stand in the middle of the interstate, just stand there. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like, protesting that is not going to help anyone.
Oh, so is there still like quite a lot of riots where you are?
I'm not sure of recently, because I've personally just tried to keep myself away from all that news. Just because it's like, it becomes too much where you just hear a bunch of negative stuff. And so I try to distance myself. So I haven't really been keeping, up to date with all that. But I would assume that, there's still a bunch of crazy rioters out there.
No, I get you. I mean, it's one of the reasons I always distance myself from politics, because it's just one of them things where it just always seems negative. So I never keep in like touch of it at all. I just always leave it.
Yeah.
And what do you do for a living?
I deliver packages for Amazon. I'm a delivery driver.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. It's actually kind of... Sorry, go ahead.
Go on, sorry. No, go.
I was going to say, it's actually kind of nice because I work for a company that was contracted by Amazon. So I'm employed through Amazon, but not at the same time. Like, I could still, I still have a badge and everything to get into the Amazon buildings and all of that. But my boss, who runs this company, will take care of all my pay and everything. So I'm kind of contracted. Yeah, it's weird. It's kind of hard to explain, but I am employed by Amazon, but they don't take care of anything, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I've always heard bad things about working for Amazon. Especially in the warehouse department. I don't know about obviously delivery, but
yeah. So the warehouse workers, from what I understand, they get treated pretty poorly. But I can't really speak to that because I don't really interact with them. I maybe talk to them for 5 minutes, out of my day, because I'm there for, maybe 10 minutes to pick up my stuff, doing my job, loading up my van. And then I'm there at the end of my day, just kind of dropping off everything that I need to drop off. So I'm not too sure, but the delivery part is awesome, dude. I'm by myself for 8 hours a day. It's so great.
You get your own time.
Oh yeah. I get my podcast time. I get my introverted self Dan time. It's great. I love it.
Nice. That sounds pretty chill, actually.
Yeah, it is so great. Yeah.
Do you ever get any mad customers?
Me personally, I haven't really dealt with anyone. I've had old people yell at me for walking through their lawn because I'm not going to walk literally all the way around their house just to try and, get to their side door or whatever because of how freaking, old people have houses. There was actually someone recently who, someone that I work with, he had a shotgun pulled on him. So that was interesting.
Holy shit.
Yeah, the way that it works is the app that we use will tell us sometimes to, go through whatever road is on the map to get to the location, right? And for whatever reason, there's this guy whose road apparently is private, but it's not registered as private. So when we deliver, we just follow the map and it leads us through this one guy's property, and he's pulled people over with a shotgun, and he's like, what are you doing on my property? I'm like, it's not our fault, dude. We're just trying to do our job, and this is how it works. If you have a problem, you have to take it up with Amazon. We are just a mere pawn in their whole scheme.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, it's weird. We get some pretty angry people, but other than that, I mean, like for the most part, no one really is there. They don't answer the door or anything like that. So it's nice, you walk up, place it down, and then you move on to the next one. So
Yeah, no, I mean, that sounds all right until the shotgun part.
yeah.
The next two questions I ask everybody that comes on the show.
Yeah.
So the first one is, what's the best thing that's ever happened to you?
The best thing that's ever happened to me. Not gonna lie, I've thought about these a little bit because I have been listening to your episodes because I find it fascinating just to kind of hear about the darker side, I will say, of people's lives. Not in a bad way, but like it's just really cool to hear, how people have gone through stuff and then come out on the other side and they're just stronger. I like that.
Yeah, it is. It is really interesting to hear because obviously a lot of people have had really bad experiences on, like, not on here, but they've talked about the bad experiences that they've had.
Yeah.
And it's like you said, it's nice to see the positives through it. But I appreciate you listening as well,
Yeah.
man. Thank you very much.
And I want to say that just to say I've kind of thought about all your questions, at least the ones that you ask rather frequently. But one of the best things I'll say that has happened to me would just be getting married. But it's also been like one of the hardest things because I love having my wife there. I love having someone who is, going to love me no matter what. But it's also so hard because I need to be able to like accept that. And with me being so introverted and so independent, it's really, really hard for me to, count on someone or to try and even, just accept love. Not because I don't know how to do it, but just because that's my personality. Like it's just different. But I would say that's probably one of the best things is just getting married and, having someone that I found that I know is not going to do anything, like we're married. So.
No, I understand that. I mean, I get where you're coming from as well. When you do work on your own for so long, and then someone else comes in, it's like, oh fuck! It's not even a bad thing. It's just something in the back of your head thinks I've got to rely on this person.
Yeah.
And part of you doesn't want to, in a way.
Mm-hmm.
But
it's really weird just because it's like you of course you don't know 100% what they're going to do, but her and I we're just, I don't want to sound super like dumb or like cliche or whatever, but like meant to be, I guess, is the best way to put it, just kind of how like our lives were.
Yeah.
And so it's like I trust her, but it is scary trying to trust someone, even if you're 100% with them, because there is that slight thing in the back of your head. Oh, like I don't know if they're going to like me or something like that. So of course that's there, but like you got to do your best to just kind of put that aside.
Nah, that's understandable. I mean, how are you finding it down there? Like relying on someone else, considering that you was on your own.
I found out that it's like, at least in my experience, it's just really hard. And it's been hard to try and get to that point. Because for the longest time throughout middle school and high school and stuff, like, I was by myself, not in like, oh, he's the weird kid. It's like, I just didn't like the people in my class. And I didn't want to associate myself with them because they were all just kind of jerks.
No, that's understandable.
Like, I tried to explain this to someone else a little while ago, and pretty much, you know how like you meet someone and you can just tell that they're like artificial and just fake.
Oh yes.
That was that was like that was like my entire class growing up, because of the school that I went to is a small little private school. And so you could just tell everyone was just super fake and everything, trying to just, be the most popular kid. And I distanced myself from that. And so I just became very independent, okay with being alone and whatnot. And so, growing up with that and then being married and then trying to live with someone and, make sure that you give them enough time because, you're married, you want to be with them, but also, take enough time to yourself. It's been so hard to balance that out. And I've been married for a year and a half now, and it's still a challenge to try and figure that out.
It's difficult, isn't it? It's
yeah.
Really difficult. I mean, I can't speak like that because I'm not married, but I understand, especially about liking your own time to yourself as well.
Yeah.
We'll get on to the next one. I presume that you obviously know what's coming, but what's the worst thing that's happened to you?
So I'll say at least one of the things that I've thought about, and I've had a couple things that I want to talk about, or at least I should say I could mention, but I would say probably one of the worst things that's happened to me is I used to live in Montana, and when it would snow in the wintertime, there's this big old gully, we would call it, like a big old giant ditch that everyone would go sledding on. And my mom decided to take us there. I think it was one day after school, and so my brothers and I have two younger brothers. We were sledding and whatnot, and we decided to go down. And my youngest brother, I think he was like maybe 6 at the time. He goes down, and when he gets to the bottom, he starts walking back to us, and there's these two huge kids. I'll say like morbidly obese kids, not to be rude or anything, but these kids were huge, and they were on one of those big old giant inner tubes that people would like pull behind a boat.
Oh yeah.
Like huge kids on this huge raft, and they just plow over my brother, and it scared me so bad because I was like, oh, that's not good. He's 6 years old, he just got ran over. And so I of course go down there, and these kids are standing there like, what do we do? And I just push them aside, and then the father comes over, he's like, hey man, like, are you okay? And I just look at him, I'm just like, shut your freaking mouth, dude, like, get out of here. Like, if you're really going to try and make this okay by just saying, hey, like, are you okay, like, piss off, like, I don't want you there. And my brother is, screaming and everything because he just got ran over and whatnot. Ran over from the back, I should say. We take him up to the car, and my mom is, of course, feeling his head and everything. And like, he's got this big old giant, like bigger than a softball or a baseball, or I don't know what's a good, I'll say bigger than the size of an orange, I think is the best way to put it, in case you don't know what a baseball is, but bigger than the size of an orange on the back of his head, just this really, really soft spot. And I was like, oh shoot, that's not good. And then he starts throwing up and everything. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, I'm going to lose my brother. Like, this is just going to evolve into something that's going to, eventually kill him. And so that was so traumatic for me because I've never had to experience anything like that with my family. That was like the first super serious thing to where my brother could have died right there. He could have died instantly. He could have died over the course of however long it took this thing to, take effect, because we didn't know what it was. We just knew that, like, if he had a big old giant soft spot on the back of his head, odds are is like he broke his skull. Like, there could be more than just inflammation. Yeah, and so I was so scared that I was going to lose my 6-year-old brother, and not to mention he's just starting school, and I was what, middle school, having to try and live with losing a family member, a brother, that early on. Like, I didn't want to go through that. So I would say that's probably one of the worst things, just because it was so traumatic for me at the time.
Yeah, fuck. Like, I can't imagine what the hell that was like, especially when you see that massive lump as well at the back of the head.
Yeah.
Like, what happened? Like, did he go to the hospital? Did he get all checked out? Or
so at the time, my mom just didn't know what to do because she was so traumatized. We just did our best to, make sure that like he didn't go to sleep, because what if it's like a really bad concussion, he goes to sleep and he slips into a coma, we didn't take him to the hospital because we just didn't know what to do. It was one of those things where like it happened so fast and you're just not thinking straight, to where it's like, what do I do? Like taking him to the hospital and like moving him around isn't the first thing that you think about. So it was just like, oh my goodness, like it was so traumatic. Like I'll never forget the father or whatever of those two kids. He walks over and like I almost push him down the hill, because he walks over and he's like, hey, so if you get better, little buddy, like we'll put you on that tube and we'll send you down. I just turn at him, I'm like, screw you, like you're a piece of crap if you're really gonna come over here. This kid is still bawling, throwing up, and you're saying like, oh, if you get better, like, you can piss off, dude. Like, you're scum.
If you get better, just go on this fucking tube as well. Yeah, fuck off.
Yeah, it was just so disrespectful. Like
that really is. Like, did he even come over just to check on your brother, or like at least apologize? Or any of the kids?
He didn't. He's just like, yeah, if you feel better. I'm like, you can't even say I'm sorry, dude. Like, you can't get your kids to come over and be like, hey man, like, we're real sorry. Like, I mean, to be fair, it wasn't anyone's fault really. Like, there were kids going down on both sides and whatnot, of this gully, and so it could have happened to anyone. Looking back at it, but at that time, it's like, no, like, that's your fault. At the time, it's just like, I'm pointing blame at you because you're, stupid enough to go down and not really bail off of this thing right before you hit this kid, to try and stop the impact. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But yeah, I know what you mean. The least he could have done though is at least, checked on your brother, made sure he's okay.
Yeah.
Or if you guys needed any help, and especially the kids could have come and checked on him as well, because they're just kids,
Yeah. So it was so traumatic though, being so young and almost losing someone right in front of your eyes like that. I mean, of course, there's been people have had that happen to them, and like, I'm sorry, but yeah, it was rough. Yeah, very scary, very, very hard times to try and get over that and not, consistently think of that.
Well, Dan, you said that you had a couple more stories that you wanted to tell. What others have you got?
Um, so this one is just like super psychological, if you will. It's not
Okay.
anything that like physically happened, but I'd say one of the like more psychological things that's happened to me is you know how like in horror movies, there's always that camera that's up in the corner of the room that looks down on the room.
Yeah, yes, sort of like Saw and stuff like that.
Yeah. So I had a
Yeah.
dream. This is what like freaks me out because I never dream. I'm one of those kids or one of those people I should say that never dreams. Like I'll wake up
Oh,
after like 12
really?
hours. I never dream. I've maybe had like two or three that I remember out of my entire life. Which anyway, so I had this dream, right? And I'm laying in bed and I'm looking at myself through that like camera in the corner of the room, right? Looking at myself, and this is gonna sound weird, but hear me out. The way that I saw myself is the way that I was laying in real life. You know, like you're kind of
What the
there.
fuck? Like a
Yeah.
live feed?
Yeah, like a live feed. But the thing is that there was someone standing next to me at like the side of my bed, but he would, I don't know what it was. It was just this black figure that was bent over right in my face. And like it scared me so bad because it's like, oh, you know, if it was just like a nightmare or whatever, like that's fine. Usually, you know, nightmares happen, but the thing is like I saw myself laying that position in that position. I saw my room exactly how my room was when I woke up and freaked out. And so it's like everything that I saw was how it was in real life. And that's what freaked me out so bad. So I'm thinking to myself, if there's this figure standing there and they're literally bent over at the waist in my face, looking at me, watching me sleep, then it's got to be real. It scared me so bad. I woke up and I didn't sleep for like 3 days because I had no clue what it was. Because I
Holy shit.
like I'm a firm believer in that stuff and like ghosts and whatnot. Like I've personally never seen any, but like it's kind of like the whole alien thing. Like people believe in aliens. It's
Yeah.
like there's got to be something. Like there's no way that there's just not like some sort of ghost or something like that, or you know whatever it is that like you know like there's so many
Yeah. Like
possibilities.
I was talking to a guy on the last podcast, well, one that I had done today, and we was talking about aliens and stuff, saying like I personally don't believe there's little green men with lasers running around and aliens and stuff like that. But
Yeah,
there's
yeah,
got to be some sort of life form on another planet.
yeah.
There just has to be. Like biologically, we can't just be the only sort of life here.
Hmm.
It just wouldn't make sense.
Yeah,
Now with the ghost thing, like I'm not 100% convinced there is ghosts, but I'm also not convinced that there isn't something there.
yeah.
The only thing that I've always thought of like is ghosts. So there's two main reasons. So obviously, if there's a heaven and a hell, and the bad people like go to hell,
Hmm.
where the hell do these ghosts come from if they're being creepy and fuck?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
is hell just letting people roam around or what?
Yeah,
So that's a bit like deceiving on like the hell for punishment. That's another conversation now.
yeah.
But the other one is like, why don't anyone ever see like ghost animals, like a ghost whale or a ghost dog? Like it always seems like
Oh,
human
true. Yeah,
figures,
yeah. True.
and I've just thought it's a bit odd. Like I'm not saying I'm ruling it out completely because I still get creeped the fuck out. Like I just got creeped out with your story. I'm checking my room, but like it's I don't know. Some things just don't add up with it. But I do like the mystery too. I really do.
Yeah, no, you bring up a really good point. I've never thought about it. It's like it's never been fully confirmed, but it's also never been like fully debunked. So it's like
Exactly.
what could it be? Cuz like, you know, you watch those ghost shows and it's like, oh, these, you know, these people just so happen to have captured the shadow fit. You know what I'm saying? Like 1 in a million chance of something to happen, but like it did. So is it real or is it not real? It's just it's so weird to think that it could be real, but it's not. Not to
Yeah, it's
mention
always
the
fun
whole
to
animal thing.
explore though. Yeah, I love talking about it. It's always fun to explore
Yeah.
because you always find out new stuff. And like another thing as well, this will be the last one that I'll start asking the question.
Okay, okay.
This will be the. I was gonna say it. I'm gonna say it bloody again. Now I've lost my words.
It's all good. It's all good.
Another thing which I found odd is these like ghosts or spirits and orbs are always took on bad cameras. Today's technology, like you can take a fucking photo brilliantly. So why is it always old cameras? It still has
Yeah.
that creepy vibe to it, you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, it's so true. It's like, you know, UFOs or something. They're always taking on like old, you know, crappy flip phones. And it's like, why can't you just pull out a smartphone and do it? But
But now as
whatever.
well, especially like in the digital age when we've got so much technology, it's just something. It's so hard to tell which is fake as well.
No, exactly. I agree with you 100%.
But I mean, man, I'd love to do another podcast where we just talk about this sort of stuff.
Oh my goodness, me
It'd be,
too.
it'd be wicked. I'll try and get some people together for like a Halloween special.
That'd be sick.
That's the plan. All right. So I'll spin this wheel. It'll give me a random question, and I've obviously inputted all the questions, so I don't know what's going to come up.
Mhm.
But the first one is, what's the biggest misconception people have about you?
Biggest misconception people have about it, I would honestly say it's that I'm like socially awkward, and it's not that I'm socially awkward. It's not like I just don't want to talk to people that I don't know. Like
Yeah.
I'm very okay with being in a room and being quiet and like on my phone. Like I'm okay with that. It's not like I feel weird about it or anything, and it's not like I have to go talk to you just because we're in a social situation. I just don't want to do that because I don't know you. I've been
Yeah.
I've been burned a lot, trying to do that in my life. Kind of going back to the whole high school thing. It's like there's so many fake people. It's like it doesn't matter how you speak to them or like if you're friends with them, like they're going to burn you for their own personal gain. And of course, I don't want to say that everyone is like that, but that's my experience with it. And I don't want to just go talk to someone just because they're there. That's
Yeah.
not who I am. I'd rather make friends rather than make small talk. So I would say that
small talk. I really don't like small talk.
small talk can go. I hate it
Yeah.
so much. It's like the thing that I have about it is like, if you need small talk, it's because you're too uncomfortable with being quiet that you need to reach out to someone to then small talk, even if they don't want to do it. So you're then already putting someone in a bad situation for your personal gain.
Yeah. So,
I
to
hate
show
that.
someone's yeah, it's fucking annoying. But like to show that you're comfortable with someone, you can just sit in a room, silence with each other, and just literally just chill.
Yeah. And like
And
that.
that's what I love.
Yeah. And the sad part is that strangers can't do that because there needs to be some sort of communication. Otherwise, someone feels weird. And it's like, I don't want to feel weird just to make you feel better. Not to say that like I won't do something for you, but at the same time, I'm not going to put myself in a weird position because you're in a weird position. Because then all it is flipping the table. Like that makes no sense. It makes no sense to me.
The worst part of small talk is when someone comes up to you and they're like, "So, Dan, how's the weather?" And it's just like, "Oh, fuck off.
Yeah,
I don't care about the damn weather. I've never cared about the damn weather."
My favorite is when they come up and they ask that and they try and ask another question. And then you're like, "Oh, it's fine. How are you doing?" And then they just don't say anything and then walk off because they're like awkward about it. It's like, what the heck is what? Like, you initiated this with me. Why are you making me feel weird because you don't want to answer? I hate it so much. I hate it.
Next time someone tries to small talk me about the weather, I'm just going to say, "What is weather?"
Oh my goodness.
Just see what happens.
That would be beautiful. You'd have to record that and let me know because I want to see how like creeped out they get. They're like, wait, what? Like,
what is weather today?
What is weather? What is rain, really?
Rain's just a concept.
True.
So, what is your biggest regret in life?
Oh man.
Hopefully you didn't see that question coming.
No, I didn't see that one coming. I never thought about that one. My biggest regret, I would say, I hope you're okay with editing out silence because I got to think about this one.
Hey, you take your time. I don't mind when people take time to think 'cause it gives me a chance to have a nice little drink.
No, I get that. I get that.
You take your time, man.
Biggest regret. So one of the only things that I can think of is I used to play soccer or football, actual like good football, not hand egg, in high school. And I didn't play my senior year, my final year of high school because of whatever stupid reason. And it just led me down a really weird path. And it just like it seemed like I just kept going down to like, I don't want to say rock bottom. And like it really wasn't too bad. It was just like I was, lonely and I was working at a dead end job and everything. But I think one of my biggest regrets is not taking that year to play football and actually like try to continue to excel at it so then I could get, like a good scholarship or something and like go to university somewhere. Because it just kind of set my life down a really dull path. It's kind of weird. Sorry,
I was going to say, do you reckon you was on this dull path purely because you missed that 1 year of football?
I would say so because I had a lot going for me then, and I just decided for whatever reason to not play. I really don't remember the reason why, but I just didn't play. And like I look back now and I see, oh, because of this, I started doing this, and I can kind of see how it kind of sculpted the path that I'm on a little bit at least, or at least started it. But I would say that that's probably one of my biggest regrets, just because I see the life that I have now. And of course, I'm not trying to say that like my life sucks or anything. I don't want to say that, but
It's just you could have been on a different path.
I could have been down a different path, and one that I think I would have potentially enjoyed more, just because I love football.
Ah, yeah, it's like my brother. My brother fucking loves it.
What team does he just? Excuse me. What team does he support?
He's a West Bromwich Albion fan.
Oh, dude, I'm sorry. They're not that great. They're gonna get relegated. I'm a Chelsea fan.
Oh, Chelsea.
Yeah, that's a long story, but
I was gonna say, how did you even end up liking football?
So,
like, especially the Premier League, because it's more obviously, Premier League's more big over the UK.
Yeah. So I originally played baseball when I was a kid, and I hated it because it was so boring. I would just stand there, and I'm like, there's no point in playing a sport if I'm literally not running or like having fun. Like, I hate this. So then my mother was like, I don't want you to play like American football, because she was one of those parents. She's like, I don't want you to get hit by someone. You know what I mean? Like plowed into someone and like break a leg or something. And so she's like, why don't you try soccer? And I was like, okay, I'll try that. And I actually really enjoyed it, and I was really, really good at it. So I just kept going, and I played, like I said, in high school, and my teachers, two of my teachers really, really liked Chelsea for whatever reason. I don't know why. I don't know how that started, but they really liked Chelsea. And so naturally, I would go against my teachers. I'd be like, nah, dude, Chelsea sucks. Like it's awful. And then I actually started watching their games, and I really enjoyed watching how they played for some reason.
Yeah.
And I just started liking them, 10 years ago or whenever it was.
Oh, damn. Have you ever been out to the UK to watch a Chelsea game?
So I have been out to the UK, and I was able to go to the Chelsea Stadium, Stamford Bridge, but the timing, I don't know what happened, but I got the times mixed up. And so they were playing Arsenal a couple years ago, and I would have watched that game, but I wasn't able to because I missed the times. But I got to see like all the players and stuff leave when John Terry was still playing, and Drogba, I think, showed up for a little bit. So I got to see a lot of like big name players. It was really cool.
That's really, really cool, man. At least you get to see that.
Yeah, true.
That's crazy, man. There's this thing that my brother goes to. I think they used to have it every year, where it might be called Soccer Aid or stuff like that, where some of the old players play, like David Beckham and stuff like that, against like celebrities. Well, I think it's called Soccer Aid. They do it every year, but obviously I think it's been cancelled this year for COVID. Mm-hmm. But I'll do some research into that, and I'll find out what it's called, and I'll send you the details. It might be something that you might love. So,
that'd be so cool. Thank you.
It's all good, man. I'll let you know.
Thanks.
Right. The next question I have for you: have you ever cheated on someone or helped someone else cheat?
No, I have never done that. I would say I'm very loyal in terms of that.
Yeah.
It's like my idea behind it is like, why would I be with them why would I cheat on them if I didn't want to be with them? Or if I wanted to be with them, why would I cheat on them? There we go.
No, that's the same mindset I have. Like, if I just didn't want to be with someone, then I'd just break up with them and then get with the other person.
Yeah, because I mean, I've seen so many people, like, they say like, oh yeah, I love you so much, blah, blah, blah. But then that person goes and like cheats on them. Even if it is just one time, I mean, it still is cheating. And it's like, why would you do that? Why would you just like blatantly lie to their face? Because not only are you scarring them and like theoretically destroying a big part of their life, but you're also just like mentally scarring them. You're doing so much more damage than just, oh, I cheat on you, we're done. Like you probably destroyed, their trust in people. You probably destroyed, their last 5 years or however long it was. You did so much damage. I don't want to be held responsible for that.
Yeah, that's a lot to take. I mean, I think some people have got to be okay with it because they cheat, but
yeah.
I don't think I could do it. I don't want to ever do it. Like, I know for a fact I wouldn't do it.
Yeah, because I'm one of those people.
The weight of it.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Go ahead. I missed what you said.
I was just gonna say it's the actual just weight of that guilt that would be on my shoulders if I did do it.
Yeah. I'm one of those people who I hate making others feel bad for any reason whatsoever. Like if I tell you I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. You know, if you're disappointed in me, then like I will do everything in my power to try and like make sure at least next time it's not bad like that. You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
so
yeah,
I'm much of a people pleaser, but it's that idea of like, why would you make someone just feel so bad because of something dumb that you want to do? It's just
yeah,
that idea behind it. And it just hurts me thinking about, you know, how someone can do that, because you're just being selfish. That's all it is. You're being so selfish. I just don't see it
yeah.
like
But
that.
people are greedy, though, aren't they? So
Yeah, that's true.
it's the greed just gets to them. That's the problem.
Hmm.
Tell me about a special person in your life.
A special, goodness, I haven't heard this one either. Shoot.
Oh, sorry, I sneezed.
Bless you. A special person in my life. I would say, other than my wife, because I don't want to give that super basic answer.
Yeah, yeah.
I would say I would say my good friend Zach. He has been with me since him and I. So a little backstory: I lived in Las Vegas for, you know, my younger schooling years. So, you know,
Oh,
from,
damn, really?
yeah, Las Vegas, dude, that was fun.
I was
It
gonna say, what was that like growing up, especially with all the gambling around there?
So when you're a kid, of course, you don't really notice that stuff. So I never really
Yeah.
noticed it until I went back years and years later when I was older. But it was just kind of cool because it's so developed in terms of just everything is like a suburb. So, you know, I lived so close to a lot of my friends and whatnot, so I would just bike over there, you know. So I miss that, but you don't really notice it. I lived really far away from the strip and like all the casinos and stuff, so it was just like a place to live. I don't know how else to say that, but I lived there for, you know, a while, and then before I went into middle school or sixth grade or whatever age that is, I moved up to Montana, and my good buddy Zach, he was moving up from Texas, and we were going to the same school. And I met him on like you know, you have like orientation or whatever, like a few days before you actually go to school, just to like meet everyone and meet the teachers and whatnot. And so I showed up there with my
Damn,
parents.
really?
Yeah, you guys don't have that there?
No, no. Literally, you go to school. It's day one. You're at school.
Oh, well, I remember having orientation and like you go around and say hi to your teachers. So then you can kind of just like know everyone. Maybe there was just like this private school that I went to. Maybe that's just how they did things. But I went there, I met Zach, and he's been like one of my best friends ever since. And, you know, it's been, oh gosh, well over 12 years that him and I have known each other. We've driven cross country together. He went to school down in Florida, and so I would have to drive back with him all the way, you know, to Montana, which is super far. It's like a 4-day trip, and we would drive cross country together and do all this stuff, and we've traveled together and everything. And I would say he was probably one of the best friends that I've, you know, kept in contact with, just because he's such a solid guy and, you know, laughs all the time, but he's also like super sweet and gentle and everything, and like he knows how to handle a situation gingerly and everything. So I forget originally what your question is, but I would say he's probably one of the more influential people, I would say, just because of how forgiving he is, and I'll leave it at that.
He does sound really, really special. He
Yeah.
sounds really, really cool. It sounds like he's been a loyal mate to you as well, from what you've told me. Just
Oh yeah. It's so funny because over here he's a big American football fan, so he likes the Dallas Cowboys. So I said, Zach, even though I hate American football, I will be a die-hard Dallas Cowboys fan just for you. And so every week we're disappointed and it sucks.
I think the Dallas Cowboys aren't too good.
I mean, they're at the top of their like division or whatever, but they're like 1-5. They just suck so bad. They're so awful.
I've always wanted to go to an American football game. Like, I'm not big on sports, but
Mhm.
I just think the idea of going to one and a baseball game just to see what just the experience is like.
So I mean, baseball, please don't like it. Like, I don't mean any disrespect to baseball. Like, I have a few people that I like watching, like Trevor May. He's a big streamer guy, but he also is the pitcher for the Minnesota Twins, and I love watching him just because, you know, I know him. But baseball in and of itself is just so slow. If you're looking for something like football or, you know, soccer or American football or, you know, even basketball, like, at least it's a little more fast paced. So, you know, it's consistent, like, you know, screaming of the fans and all that stuff. Baseball is just so slow. I can't
Well,
do
this is
it.
the thing. I'm not too keen on watching any sports. I'm just not a sports person.
Yeah.
Like when I put them on the telly, like I just fall asleep like an old man. So like I've been to a few games. Like I went to an England versus Germany game at Wembley.
Oh,
My brother got me tickets, and literally me and my dad was just like, well, my dad was cold, but he loves the football, but I was nodding off.
oh my gosh. I would love to see an
I,
England-Germany game.
it was, I mean, England lost, but it was cool to see. But I was just thinking, fuck, it's really cold.
Yeah, no, I get that. I get that.
But I think seeing some of these different sports that I've just never experienced might be a bit interesting, even though they could send me to sleep as well.
Yeah, and I think like one of the cool things about it is just like the atmosphere. For example, I was in Germany for a while and I went to like a tier 3 German game. It was like just really crappy teams, but like it was so much fun because the home fans, like everyone was a family kind of thing. And so just to have like that camaraderie was so cool, and just like feeling accepted like that was just really neat, even though I didn't speak a lick of German.
What is the scariest situation you've been in?
The scariest situation? So I would say that there was, yeah, I'll go with this. There was this one guy, I won't say his name. He was a grade A douchebag. Like, I hated him. He was he was scum. He was one of those guys who would directly just like straight up lie to your face and then go out and like make your life just hell. Like, it was awful. He, for the longest time, would lie about me and like this one person I was dating at the time, just make a bunch of lies up. Nothing was true. And then it spread around the school and then I would get talked to about it. It was one of those things.
Just a shit stirrer.
Yeah, that's an understatement. Oh my goodness, like this kid was awful. Probably one of the times that like really stands out is it all started when because no one liked him. And so what we would do is we would just like pick on him. So I mean, like, given it was kind of asking for it, but it wasn't anything like super bad. It was just like poking fun at, like, of course there's like bullies and stuff. And then there's people, who just kind of like joke around. We would just joke around with him. And there was one day to where I don't remember what we did, but we did something. And of course I was the target because I think he just really hated me for whatever reason. And so I was a target. And so, I was running away from him and he's running after me. And we are on a wet football pitch and I slip and fall. And what he does is he just like jumps and like lands on my chest. And I was like, shoot, like that didn't feel very good, And if anyone knows, like, if you're a big boy, which, I wouldn't say he's big, but he was very athletic. And so, he was pretty hefty in terms of like muscle. And he just like jumps on your chest, like, you should probably die, with the force and everything and how heavy he was. Like, I probably should have been dead, or at least my rib cage should have been crushed. And so he did that. And ever since that point in time, he started to then pretend that that he was people in my class getting fake numbers and texting me. And this went on for, yeah. It was weird. And like, I didn't find all this out until the very end. But follow me.
Holy shit.
So what he would do is he would pretend to be people in my class. And here's the thing, like, I was stupid enough to not talk to these people about it, but it was also one of those things where like I just took it for face value. I was like, oh, I'll like a fake name I'll use, like, oh, Isaac, like, like I'm not going to go speak to Isaac about it because like we were talking about it through text, kind of one of those things. And so he would try to find out all these things about someone that I was dating at the time, like what's going on. He would try to find out about like who I was potentially hanging out with. He would try and figure out, where I had to be at whatever time, like he was really just being creepy and stuff about it. And what happened over the course of however long it was, he pretty much snapped one night over whatever text it was. And so then I was like, oh shoot, like, I confronted who I thought he was at the time. And this kid was like, no, that wasn't me. Like, what are you talking about? And I was like, wait, so someone's been pretending to be you for however long it was, trying to gain all this information? Because I was kind of close to this one kid, right?
Yeah.
And so like this kid knew it and was like trying to text me and figure out all this stuff about me. And so pretty much what happened is I didn't know who it was. I didn't know that this kid was, pretending to be all these other people. And so he knew all this information about me. He knew all this information about my family, all this information that I was of the people that I was dating at the time. And so over the course of the next week after I found out it was him, he would like legitimately threaten to kill the people that I knew. He would send me these texts and he's like, oh, like so and so looks nice today, like these really creepy, just awful text messages. And I was like, what the heck is going on? And like I didn't know it was this kid, right? I was like, who are you? And they would like mentally mess with me. They would try and get in my head and everything. And so I was dealing with this, not saying anything to anyone, trying to, figure out who it was. I called private investigators and they wouldn't do anything, because I was like, I don't want to take this to the police because I don't even know who it is. What can they do? And so I'm sitting here and I'm like, what the frick's going on? Like, who are you? And over time, I kind of started to figure out, oh, it was maybe, I'll give him a name. It was maybe, let's just say John. It was John. Over this time, I was like, he's starting to sound like this. I would try and ask some, pressing questions. And, he would give a little bit of information. Over a long story, I thought it was John, right? And so I was like, John, like, you need to stop. Like, this is messed up. He still threatened to, like, kill the person that I was with. He threatened my brothers. He freaking had the audacity to threaten to, like, rape my mother. Like,
what
just
the fuck?
Yeah, just like these super messed up things, right? And so I was like, I don't know what I have done to make your life this miserable, but like, you're making my life miserable because I have to live with these things. Like, of course, I know nothing's going to happen because you have no balls. Like, you're just all talk, no show. But at the same time, you don't talk like that and plant the seed in someone's head that you're going to like kill someone that means something to someone. Like, you don't do that. You don't threaten to rape someone's mother because you're mad at someone. Like, you don't do that. And so then what I did is I was like, Mom, Dad, like, I don't know what to do, but I know it's this person doing something. Like, I'm giving this to you because I don't know what to do. And my dad was just like, nah, dude, it's fine. And I was like, no, Dad, like, he threatened to rape Mom. And my dad stood up and he's like, if I ever come across that kid, like, I will slit his throat. Like, I will kill this kid. I don't care what age he is. Like, I will kill this kid. You don't threaten to rape my wife. You don't do that. You don't threaten to rape someone's mother. That's stupid. And so then we called the cops, and pretty much what happened is the cops went to their house, and my mother actually knew the cop that went over there. And so long story short, we found out that it actually was this kid, but nothing happened.
Oh, really?
Nothing happened. No, it was him. It was him. I'm 100% sure it was him. And the mother of the kid knew that it was him, but the kid just lied about it. And so the cops can't do anything because the kid was just lying about it.
Shit.
And so I was like, man, like, I just don't know.
That's messed up. That is fucking hell.
I don't know why you would do something like that to someone. Like, it makes no sense. Like, I can understand, if you're trying to mess with someone a little bit in terms of like, oh, I just kind of want to scare them, but you don't threaten to like kill someone or like rape someone. You don't do that. That's messed up. That's like stuff that can get you thrown into jail.
That's very psychotic stuff.
Yeah. And so one of the scariest things that's happened to me is that, like, being just like mentally like abused like that, because I didn't know what was going on for so long. I was living in this lie for so long, and then to find out that it wasn't who I thought it was, that shattered my world at the time, because I was like, who have I been talking to for so long? Why are they threatening me like this?
It must have been fucking scary to find out that wasn't the same guy you was talking to.
No, it wasn't, because like I said, it wasn't just, one or two people. Like, this kid pretended to be multiple people at different times, and it was scary, oh my goodness. Like, it was messed up. There's, more to it, but I'd rather not get into it just because I feel like for terms of like personal identity, I don't want to say anything, but my goodness, like there's more to it that will just make you, it makes you question how people can just be so idiotic and just so messed up. And you're like, why do that? Like, what do you gain out of that besides some like sadistic laughter?
Well, what I always think, I know it's probably just a very easy way to sum this up, but I think some people literally just put on this earth just to be cruel. Yeah. I hate to say that, I really fucking do, because I really hope everyone has a bit of good and bad inside of them.
Yeah.
But I just think some people are put on here just to be cruel.
I agree with you. Like, there's no reason to do that, rather than just to be cruel and mean and disrespectful and to literally ruin someone's mental state. Like there's no reason to do any of that besides just be a douchebag, be a jerk.
Was there any more messages after the police went?
So after the police went, because like I said, the police officer knew my mom pretty well. He
Yeah,
came
yeah,
over and he's like, we think it's him, but we're not 100% sure because he's denying everything, so we can't do anything about it. But the police officer said, like, from me to you, like speaking to my mom, like, I know it's him, but I just can't do anything, you know?
yeah,
So after that, like, nothing happened. Like, it stopped because I guess a kid was scared enough, but it kind of just like fizzled out like right then and there, which I mean, I guess is good because then I wasn't, experiencing any of that again. But it was, no justice, I guess is the right way to put it. Because I mean,
yeah,
I would have wanted, like, I never would wish anything bad to my enemies, but at the same time, like, you don't do that. Like, I wish at least that kid would have gone to jail, or juvie or whatever, to at least think about what he's doing, because, like, I don't want him in the future to get pissed off or whatever to then do that to someone else. That's what I'm worried
yeah.
about.
That
So,
recurring event, if it happens to someone else, would be fucked up.
yeah. I mean, like, for all I know, he could be a serial killer. Like, not to, of course, wish that or, think that, but like, if someone at an early age starts something like that, how sadistic can they get in 15 years? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, how far can that be pushed?
it's fucking scary to think of stuff like that.
Yeah, it
Really
petrifies me.
fucking terrifying. Well, the next question will be interesting if it's a yes then. So, have you ever had satisfying revenge on someone?
Oh man.
And it's
You
like I
know
said,
what?
take your time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So this is another long story. So if I have to cut it short, let me know.
Carry on,
So
man.
so I'll try and keep this as simple as possible. But I was
Yeah.
after high school, I started working at a retail store, Target, if you know what Target is.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, so I started working there, and I met this girl, and we started dating. And pretty much what happened is, like, we were together for I think like 8 months or something like that before I came up to my mom. I was like, hey mom, like, I think I'm gonna propose. Like, it's kind of short, but like, we hang out all the time. Like, I'm pretty confident in this. My mom was like, just take one more day, Daniel, to think about it. Take another week or something like that. She said something like, think about it just a little bit more. And when I started to think about it, I was like, you know what, this probably isn't the best thing for me to do, because what would happen is the father of that family worked up in Alaska, and so he would be gone 3 months and then back for like a week. It was a really messed up situation. And so whenever he was gone, that family would try and, like, I don't want to say this and sound weird, but like, they would try and make me the father figure. Like, they would tell me to,
Ooh.
like, be the father of the house. And I was like, excuse me, what? Like, no. And like, at the time, I didn't think about it. I thought about just like, oh, I'm helping them out. Like, I'm trying to help out, this father that I kind of look up to, because he was a really nice guy and I really did look up to him. And it's like, well, while he's gone, I can at least, do this to try and help him out. But the more I thought about it, the more I'm like, they're wanting me to pretty much be the father figure without, of course, like, providing the income. And I was like, I don't know if I can do that. I'm 18 or what? Nah, I think I was like 20 or something like that. But I'm 20 years old. I don't know what I'm doing, and I'm supposed to try and be this father figure. Super messed up, right?
Yeah, that's really strange, and it's such a big responsibility to put on an 18-year-old being a father figure.
Yeah, it was weird. And so, long story short, I started thinking about it, and I eventually came to the conclusion, like, yeah, I can't do this. Like, I need to break up with her, because I just can't do it. Like, it's too much stress on me. It doesn't put me in a good spot. I'm angry all the time because of it. Like, I'm definitely not in a healthy mindset. And so I thought about it for about a month. I was like, how do I bring this, about how do I break up with her? So I broke up with her, right? And literally the day after, she goes out and sleeps with my best friend at the time. They get
the
together.
fuck?
Yeah, it was messed up. And I don't mean anything to him, but she was a very manipulative person, and I didn't see that until after we were done. And so, I have no angst against him, because he actually called me a couple years later and he's like, hey, like, I'm real sorry. I just want to explain myself. He explained. I was like, no, it's all good. Whatever. She's a hoe anyway. And so she sleeps with him, right? And they're together and whatnot. And I don't know this, and I'm super super depressed. I think it was like in 2 months I lost like 30 pounds because I was so depressed at the time, like, just really really rock bottom low point in my life. And so pretty much what happened is she decided that she wanted to move out to Portland, Oregon. And it was weird because she was keeping me updated on everything. Like she wanted to get back together, but yet she was like with this guy, right? And so what happened is, she moves out there and everything, and she gets mad at me for whatever reason. I don't know, whatever, water under the bridge, if anything. And pretty much what happens is I find out that I wouldn't even necessarily say like I did anything. But pretty much I just like told her straight up, I'm like, I know you're not living the way that you want to be living. Like you say that you are this, but you're definitely not that. And she got real pissed at me and hung up the phone and had never said anything to me again. Like she's like, yeah, I want to live more religiously and everything. I was like, you're definitely not doing that if you're doing this. And she just got mad at me and hung up the phone because I was like, I'm done with you. And so pretty much that escalated into just like causing her life to go into turmoil. And like, I don't want to say that like that's a satisfying revenge kind of thing, but it just kind of helps me to like sleep better to know that she saw what she needed to do. She wasn't living like that. I said something just to try and encourage her. She took it the wrong way and just let her life like spiral out of control. And like, I don't want to say again, like I would never wish anything on my worst enemy, but like it felt kind of good to know that like in the long run, like I didn't do anything wrong. I did everything right for myself. And she just was the cause of everything that was negative in my life. And at least at that time. And so I felt good because, it was kind of like revenge at the same time, because then it was just like confirmation that it wasn't necessarily me. Like, yeah, I could have done, a little slip up here and there, but it was her. Like she was the root of everything, the cause of everything. And it made me feel kind of good.
Yeah. It was like, it's having that, like you said, that confirmation that she was the actual problem in this.
Yeah.
And I imagine that's why it felt good. And sometimes, you know what, it's going to sound fucked up, but when bad people do bad stuff and they fuck it up, it's pretty fucking good.
Yeah. No, it's so true. Like
it's really fucking good.
Yeah. It just felt good to know that after everything that happened and all the pain that was caused, because I felt like I needed to do the right thing, that like in the long run, she just got, bit in the butt, like straight up, just everything went downhill. I was like, it's kind of nice to know. It kind of feels good. Not necessarily revenge, but I would say that's probably one of the closest things to it. So
it's more of a satisfying, like where you just watch it and have like a sip of tea.
Yeah, like a form of revenge, if you will.
Yeah. I'll ask you these last two questions, and then we can leave it there if you like.
Sure.
So the next one: do you hold any grudges against anyone?
No.
No grudges whatsoever.
I do my best to forgive and forget, or at least forgive and try to put aside whatever it was. Like with the stories I told you, like I said, I would never wish the worst thing on my worst enemy. I would never wish anything like that. And so I do my best to just try and forgive. It's like, I understand that you caused me pain. I understand that you caused, my life to go the way that it was going, but you are going to continually win if I hold a grudge and continually think about it. So you have to let it go.
I mean, I think you're a better man than me, because there's a guy that he done a lot of damage to my life, and I still can't forgive him today. Like, I fucking can't stand this kid.
No, I get you. I mean,
so you're a better man than me with that.
I mean, there are, of course, some people that I just hate with a passion, but like at the same time, like I don't want to see these people, but I'm not going to, like, if I see them in public, I'm going to at least, say hey and be like, how you doing? And at least try and be cordial, if anything, because like I said, I'm a very firm believer that like people, like if they're causing you harm, like they're doing it on purpose. 99% of the time, they're causing you harm on purpose. And if you dwell on it and continually think about it, they're winning. And it's like, I don't want them to win. Like, I want to be the winner here. So I do my best to not. I mean, if I really thought about it, I probably do, if I'm being honest with you. Because, like I said, there's been some really screwed up stuff in my life that's happened. But at the same time, it's like, I like to think that, I forgive and forget, or at least forgive and try and move on. So.
I was going to say this would have been the last question, but there's one more I want to ask.
No, of course, yeah.
And I'm just curious, because obviously you seem like quite a positive and quite a happy person, willing to forgive.
Mm-hmm.
But so I want to ask you this. So, what is your favorite thing about yourself?
Oh my gosh.
Because it does seem like you're a very forgiving person. It seems like you're very kind-hearted. So I'm really curious what's the main thing that you do like about yourself?
Yeah. I will say this, like, there was a long time where I was really angry and I hated being angry. So I think that's where the positivity comes out, because I hated how I was. And so it was kind of just like a mental thing. Like, you can't be like that, Dan. Like, you got to be a little more positive, a little more happy, because, my mother would tell me, she's like, Daniel, no one wants to be around you because you're such a piss off all the time. I was like, yeah, all right, I got to change stuff. But I would say probably one of the things that I like most about myself would be how, I would say probably how I'm able to counsel myself. Because I spend so much time alone at my job, and I'm a very introverted person, so I like to be by myself. I have been able to help, like, I don't want to say coach myself, but for lack of a better term, coach myself, counsel myself through a lot of things. And so being able to have that internal dialogue, or that that external dialogue with yourself, and being able to help yourself, overcome certain things, and maybe like I can't think of any specifics, but I know recently there's been a couple things to where I've like changed my mind. Like, I was going to do something, I'm like, you got to think about that, man, like, and change it. I was like, you're probably right, and so it's kind of like having that second person, if you will. But I think that would probably be one of the favorite the things that I like about myself the most, is being able to talk to myself and feel like I'm my own counselor. Because I know my limitations and I know what I can and can't do, but I also know that, like, I know myself inside and out. Like, who's a better counselor than yourself? And so I think that's what I would argue. I'm probably most happy with that.
Nice. That's pretty fucking cool to hear.
And like, it probably sounds like I'm a lunatic. It's like, oh man, Dan talks to himself all the time.
It really doesn't, honestly. I swear to God, Dan. Like, when I'm trying to figure out problems, sometimes I'll just literally, like, I'll tap my head, or I'll be like, and I'll start talking to myself, and I'll be like, no, this isn't the solution.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. I was going to say, my mom and dad always said, you're not crazy for talking to yourself, but you're crazy when you start answering yourself. And I'm like, I've started answering myself sometimes.
It's funny you say that, because there have been so many times recently to where, like, I'll be in my van, driving, delivering and stuff, and I'll be like, like, how do you feel? And like, I'll actually answer myself, like, trying to have a two-way conversation. And I'm like, bro, if someone was sitting in this van with me, they'd probably think I have like some sort of brain lag, or like my brain isn't all there, like I'm that weird. Like, it's so funny to hear myself do it, and then you say that, I'm like, man, I answer myself literally all the time, and it's out loud. Like, I'm the crazy one.
It looks like we're both going down the crazy path, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, we can do it holding hands. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I'm good. We just got to decide if you're coming to UK or I'm going to America. The last question I have for you is, do you have an end goal in life?
Ooh.
The finale.
Yeah, the finale. I would say the end goal for me is, I really, when I was a kid, I didn't have too much. Not to say that in like, I need stuff, but my father was in between jobs all the time, and like, my mother did what she could. And so my end goal in life is, if I was to have kids, and I say if just because, you never know what can happen, but I want to try and leave enough of a legacy, I guess. Legacy sounds like too much. I want to leave enough, though, to where when I pass, like, my kids and everything have the life that they want. So it's not something that they feel forced into. It's something that naturally happens. Like, I want to be able to support my kids. I want to be able to provide for my kids and be able to make sure that I can give them the life that they want, rather than just like, yeah, whatever. Like, you'll figure it out. Like, I want to be there with them. I want to make sure that they're, financially sound, at least early on. I want to make sure that the jobs that they have are the jobs that they want, not just something that they have to do. So I would say my end goal is to make sure that my family's taken care of in the best way possible.
I think that's a good end goal. It's a very, very similar end goal that a lot of people with families do have, and it does make me think, because normally everyone always thinks this is the most important, that's the most important, but when you have a family, it always seems to be the family is like the priority. It's just interesting how it just takes over instantly.
Yeah, and I think, and like, of course I don't have kids, so I can't really speak on this, but from my understanding of it, it's like, as soon as you have kind of like a relationship, when you're with someone and you just want them to have the best thing possible, like you want to give them the best, I would feel like it's kind of like that with kids, except like dialed up 10 times, you know what I mean? Just because, they're literally from you, they're your offspring. Like you want to make sure that they don't go through the same problems you did, they are, stable, they can eat, all that stuff. So I would assume that that's kind of like how it feels.
Yeah, just to give him the best life.
Yeah.
I think that's a perfect way to end it. I mean, that's brilliant. I mean, what
Thank
I'll
you.
do now, I'll do a quick outro, and I'll just, I'll say it was great talking to you, and then feel free to, say what you want to say. If you want to plug anything in, you can literally do whatever you want, man.
Do you want me to plug now, or do you want me to plug in a second?
As soon as I finish, I'm just gonna have a quick drink.
Oh, okay. No, yeah, take your time, of course.
Right. So I just want to say thank you again to the audience for listening to the Raw Life podcast. It's been a pleasure having Dan on. We've talked about the good, the bad, and it turns out one of us is going to another country because we're going to go crazy holding hands together.
Yeah,
that's what right. I got from this.
Yeah, that's right.
I just want to say, Dan, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on here.
Oh, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
I was going to say, man, feel free to plug your stuff.
Yeah, so I also have a podcast, and I'm going to plug that. It's called Across the Pond. It's pretty much the same thing as this, except it's not necessarily as question heavy. It's more of like a natural conversation. Not to say that this isn't, but it's very directed with questions, which is beautiful. I love it. But mine's just more not as question heavy. So if you want to do that, it's available on everything across the pond. Yeah. Other than that, I mean, that's about all I got in terms of plugging. So.
Perfect. Well, I'll make sure to check it out. Otherwise, I'll kick them.
Yeah. Okay, that's fine.
But I just want to say, Dan, thank you again. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate the opportunity. It was a really good time. I would love to do this again, if anything. But
yeah, definitely. We'll set it up.
All right, I'm good with that. Maybe when I come over and visit you and we're holding hands or something, we can do it together.
We'll just put in there. It actually happened. We went crazy together. Let me get this bot out of here. Then there for you. There we go. We'll just kick him out.
Awesome.
There we go. Did you need the recording, or you're all good?
No, I'm good. I was actually recording the whole time there too. So whenever, and like I'll say this, so then you're just more at peace. Like, of course, this is yours, and so I don't want to upload this early in case if like any weird thing happens. So whenever this goes live for you, I'll probably post it later that week or something like that.
Cool, man. That'll be perfect.
Yeah. So, and then of course, link me whatever you want to put into it, since this is your thing. I'm just going to make the episode about myself because it is about me.
Yeah. I mean, it's easier, especially when someone else is interviewing you as well.
Yeah. Because I didn't want to sit there because my thought process behind the whole thing was like, man, I would love to do one about myself. So then, people who might not know me can get to know me. Because that's kind of like the whole premise behind, this. And of course, the one that I do is, I just want to get to know other people and like let other people give advice, because I feel like that's one of the only things that we can do right now, given the whole pandemic thing. And so I'd be like, man, it'd be kind of cool to see, like have people listen to my life, at least a little bit about it. So
I think it's really cool. It's like I said, I'm a little bit behind because when I put the post on Reddit, I had a lot of people, which I didn't expect, ask me for days and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So this was, what was it, episode 26? 24, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
And I've only literally just released episode 15 or 16.
That's all good. So I mean, if anything,
it might be a little bit wild if that's cool.
No, of course. Like I said, just kind of let me know what's up, and then whenever yours goes up, I will do mine, so I'm not potentially taking anything away from you. So
cheers, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Across the Pond. Please share this with your friends and family, as well as giving my email to someone you think would love to star on an episode of the show. Connect with me on Twitter, find us on YouTube, and please consider checking out Patreon if you would like to be a part of Across the Pond. Thanks to Mark for the logo, and for the Black Couch label and Ollie H for the music. Tune in next Sunday for another awesome episode of Across the Pond.